was preparing for a rough and rowdy fight. And we were working out in the football facility. PJ Fleck rode the belt, the whole thing. And the equipment staff gave us everything. They literally gave us, I think they gave us cleats at one point. That equipment staff, parts of it are now here at Stanford. So whenever I walked in yesterday, it was like a Butte versus everybody, Butte, Montana. I think it's also, nope, not going to say that. Evil Knievel, no. Maybe. Evil Knievel might be from there.
I think he's a Montana guy. I think I remember you lumping him in there with.
Yeah, so the guy killed Bin Laden, Evil Knievel, and Colt Anderson are all from Butte, Montana. Good town. Great town. Can't wait to go there one day. But Griff Whalen, notoriously bad center, great football player, good person. He was in a classroom at Stanford where there was like a class project to create things. I've said this a couple times, but it needs to be reiterated now that I've went there and seen it. If he would have sat, let's say, on the right side of the classroom instead of the left side of the classroom, up towards the front, he would have been in a group project that created Snapchat. Instead, he's like in the back side of the left or maybe front left, and he created like a vegan snack. So that Griff Whalen was potentially 30 feet away.
Not the snap he wanted in his life.
Snapchat. Get it? That was good. Hey, that was very good. But honestly, that's the way Stanford operates. And yesterday we got a chance to see it. It's very nice. I'm excited for this game tonight. People on campus told us that stadium will not be a raucous atmosphere. It will not be electric in there tonight. But we got a good game with UCLA Stanford. Another good game is that Kansas City-Denver game tonight. And I'm pumped up about that because this is going to be a real test here for Patrick Mahomes. In that Kansas City Chiefs offense that people were like, are they dead? Well, they only had 5 minutes of the ball in the second half yesterday or last week. There's not much you can do with only 5 minutes of ball in a 30-minute half there. There's not much you can do whenever it feels like the other team has figured you out, even when you got 45 different weapons, more weapons than the other team can contain. And that defense, Joe Flacco might light it up tonight.
Oh, boy.
Joe Flacco might light it up tonight. Joe Flacco might throw for 400, 500 yards tonight. That's just what other people say that study the game. That's true, though. The Kansas City Chiefs, it's Andy Reid's season right now. And for those that don't follow along, we are big on Andy Reid's season. Andy Reid's season is normally like the first 11 weeks of the season because he has such an incredible mind. It's like a beautiful mind in drawing up offensive plays. But he doesn't have the discipline not to use every play he thought of in the offseason. So the first 11 weeks, it's just like, boom, boom, can you stop this? And then the defensive coordinators are like, all right, we're going to prepare for all of this. And then he runs out of bullets. And then the kind of end of the season normally changes. Now, last year it wasn't like that. Last year it kind of maintained. It was even able to keep going because you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes where he can continue to drop anything you possibly need with the guy. But this year, Andy Reid's season was very quick, it felt like. Matt Patricia the one that broke Andy Reid's season? I think we're going to find that out here on a short week. But I've said this for the Patriots game against the Giants. Short weeks tend to favor the incredible quarterbacks. There's not as much time to prepare. There's not as much time for the defense to get ready. There's not as much time for the offense to get ready. It's kind of like, hey, your primetime players just got to be better than their primetime players. The Giants didn't have a lot of those primetime players. That's why I knew the Patriots were going to hammer them, even though a lot of people questioned me early in that game. We knew it was going to figure out. Tonight feels like a night that Pat Mahomes is going to pop off. And his first ever start, people forget, was in Denver, replacing Alex Smith, who they were resting, who was on an MVP year. And he got a win in Denver. And that's when the entire organization said, wait a minute, we got a guy, I think. And that's when they decided to ship out Alex Smith after an MVP season. We all called him crazy. We're like, what is this? What a dum-dum. And now Patrick Mahomes is arguably the best player on the field whenever he steps onto a football field. But can they stop their issues tonight? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't see them losing again tonight. But also, like you said, if Mahomes still kind of has some of those lingering ankle injuries, you know, he's got Von Miller and their line hasn't looked that great. I think Chubb's out for the season.
Yeah, he's hurt.
But
that was a Stephen A. Smith situation.
But still, I mean, maybe it's because how everyone's talked about them up to this point in the season, you know, and that we've kind of convinced ourselves that they are very good. But, I just don't see them getting beat tonight.
Well, we'll be able to talk about the Chiefs' offense here relatively soon. A man that was able to succeed mightily in the Chiefs' offense for a long time. 9 years he was with the Chiefs. Then he was with the Texans?
Broncos and the Jaguars.
There we go. Nailed
He's
it.
from Houston.
There we go. This guy played for both the Broncos and the Chiefs. One for 9 years, one for 1 year. Incredible athlete. Can't wait to chat with him on the other side. Are the Chiefs broken? Also, later in the show, we'll be talking about Roger Goodell pushing that 17-game season. Leaving out the extra bye week, though, that I think would really seal the deal. Let me fix the NFL a little bit. I'm sure I'll yell about the refs at some point. That just has to change, dude. Just has to change. Has to. And Myles Garrett got punched in the face by a guy from Cleveland. Can't wait to talk about all of it. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. We are back here with the Pat McAfee Show, live in San Francisco. We lost all radio contact with the people who tell us if we're on the radio or not. Happy we could get back right in time. Shout out to Don over there in Culver City. It's a fake name, so he's lying to us every single day, but he does an incredible job. Every time this show gets on the air, it's a real, it's like a magic trick almost.
It's a treat. It's a delight.
It is for us and for some people that listen. We appreciate it. Jamal Charles should be joining us in a few minutes. He has not called in. Maybe we haven't called him. We'll get a chance to chat about the Chiefs and the Broncos this evening in Mile High. I'm excited for that matchup, mostly because Joe Flacco on primetime games always delivers. Joe Flacco is a guy who was a guest on the podcast and now has been undefeated since he made an appearance. And he's a guy that a lot of people have said for, most of his career, he's elite.
It has been said about and around him. I don't know if anyone has actually said he is elite.
I have said it. Joe Flacco is elite. He's worth $200 million that the Ravens paid him when he bet on himself and then went ahead and won the Super Bowl. Also, people forget that Joe Flacco in that Super Bowl against the 49ers, last play of the game, he was mic'd up. After they took a safety on purpose, they kicked the ball off. He said, if that guy's getting down near the end zone, I will go on the field and tackle him. Joe Flacco's a guy that is willing to win at all costs. He was mic'd up. That's a real thing that happened. Because they took that safety. You remember they took the safety late, ran out of bounds. Sam Cook did a little dancey dance in the end zone, then ran out of bounds, ran time down. Last play of the game was the safety kickoff. After safety kickoff,
that's interesting.
Joe Flacco was mic'd up on the side, and he said, if this guy is breaking free down the sideline, I'll tackle him.
The whole organization threw a lot of heat at Mike Tomlin for just taking one step on the field.
Joe Flacco is past the Baltimore Ravens now. He is now the face of the Denver Broncos organization, and he's battling against an MVP candidate in Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid have been figured out, people are saying. Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid might never win again, people are saying. I just don't know if that's the case, but it feels like tonight's a night that Pat Mahomes is going to dominate. I don't know what the betting lines are. We'll figure that out. Old Degenerate Diggs will hit us up here in a second.
You want it? FanDuel has the Chiefs at -3.
Yeah, I think you hammer that. I think that is a hammer time. Now, we don't have the prop. In Indianapolis, my friend Nick here bought me a prop. It was the Thor hammer. And I don't know where he bought it from. Probably Amazon, if I had to guess. There's Amazon Goes on every corner here in San Francisco, by the way, which I don't know what that means. I guess you just walk in and take stuff. That's what everybody says.
Pretty much.
You basically shoplift, but they charge you.
So there you go. But the hammer that Nick got me, it's a great prop.
It is a good prop.
Because whenever I feel something, I feel something. And tonight I feel something for that Chiefs team. Tonight I've been a guy who on ESPN noted saying and asking, are the Chiefs ever going to win again? I have had some time to think about it. I've stopped by some dispensaries out here in San Francisco, got real deep into the mind, got a chance to utilize extra parts of my brain that not everybody gets to use because of the pretty interesting place we walked into yesterday. And I think on Thursday night, their backs against the wall, facing a 3-game losing streak. This is when Pat Mahomes comes out with that sidearm nonsense, starts do-si-doing around. Tyreek Hill is going to pop one off for like 70, 80 yards. I feel like tonight's the night where the Chiefs are going to win big. And that's no fault of the Broncos, by the way.
No
fault of the Broncos. I think the Broncos are a great team. Brandon McManus figuring it out, getting hot as a kicker. Tom McMahon, best special teams coach in the NFL, is out there. I like Bones in L.A. too, obviously. And I like the guy that is actually special teams coach for the Chiefs. But Tom McMahon coached me. Good guy out there. He said they got a good squad. Joe Flacco's getting hot. But tonight feels like a night that Pat Mahomes is going to really do his thing.
KC 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games in Denver.
80% of the money is on KC right now.
Oh, no. Maybe that's why I don't have the hammer. You know what I mean?
Well, it's never really official until you swing that hammer.
Well, we don't have the hammer. I do not like that 80% of the money is on Kansas City, though. Because Vegas, 70% of the money was on the Patriots last week. Mm-hmm. There's no way that Vegas is going to get destroyed 2 weeks in a row. It just doesn't feel like something that a company that's, a town that's worth billions of dollars from winning and not losing would do.
The problem is the Broncos kind of fit this blueprint of beating the Chiefs. They can run the ball well, and they have corners who can cover.
Is Lindsey still playing football for them?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He's awesome. That guy came out of nowhere, too. Nobody had a clue who he was. Just a local guy, comes in, starts dominating for the Broncos. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, he chews up some yards, and then you obviously have big play Flacco to just go over the top, a couple bombs there. Big
PI Flacco.
Yeah, exactly,
Which,
in
today's game.
By the way, strategy.
Yeah.
Strategy. I think, oh, my God, I want to hammer the Mahomes thing. I wish Jamal Charles would call in. Is he not calling?
Yeah, that'd be great. He has not. They're reaching out to the reps right now. I just hope he's okay.
I hope he's okay, too. You know what? That's like the Mitch Hedberg joke. The Johnson family of 3, and then they don't answer, and they go right to the next family, and they're like, family or party of 4. It's like, well, what happened to the Johnsons? We need a search party. Roger Goodell, CBA negotiations. Everything happening right now at the competition committee's world. There's a lot of decisions being made. Things about the refs are being talked about. Rich McKay came out. He's the head of the competition committee. Roger Goodell came out and said that the PI thing is settling in right where he thought it was. Well, if that's the case, Roger Goodell, I think you're a dummy then. If this is what you guys expected from this call, just to be absolute uproar, Roger Goodell, you're much smarter than that. You didn't mean that. You're just covering up for people right now, which I guess I can appreciate. I guess I can appreciate and respect whenever the top guy takes bullets for his, his men that are just entrenched in a negative PR battle day in and day out. But there's no way that they thought this review, this rule being added, would be such a colossal cluster truck, which is exactly what it's become. The pass interference review is just the tip of the iceberg for how these refs have performed, and there has still been zero accountability from anybody. And this competition committee is exactly where they handle all this stuff. I mean, Troy Vincent came out and said that second hands to the face was a bad call on Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers came out very mature and said, we got to control what we can control, which I respect. Trey Flowers, let the people like me who put makeup on go on television and yell into microphones, talk the way you want to. So that's very good. But there's still zero accountability other than that Troy Vincent one call. What about the one for the Steelers against the Ravens? What about the one for the Chiefs? What about the Packers? What about, there's so many of them, and none of them have been talked about by any of these people, which I guess can potentially get figured out behind closed doors, which we all hope to. We just hope for the betterment of the game that it gets figured out.
Mike Pereira was on the show yesterday, and he mentioned a good thing about fixing this rule and potentially changing would be to remove the words from the defining letter of the law, egregious. Because it's a good point. What does egregious mean in these terms?
And clear and obvious as well. Because then it does just turn it into a judgment call every single time.
Is that what subjective means?
Yes.
You're right.
I was using context clues, and he was like, when Rich McKay was like, well, this is the first time we've moved into the subjective field, which Mike Pereira yesterday, Fox Sports rules analyst, was like, well, that's not true at all, because we're using football move. That is completely a subjective thing. That's already been in there. Pereira was kind of, by the way, Mike Pereira yesterday on the show was kind of, he was sawing him down. He's like, well, there's 7 first-time refs in the NFL. This is unheard of before. They don't have a setup. There's a lot of people confused. Mike Pereira kept it all the way real, which I didn't think he would, by the way. I thought he would just kind of, especially because Fox is an NFL haven.
Pretty big partner.
But he kept it real, which is what I wish some more people in positions of power would do. Not that Pereira has any power. He doesn't. He knows that. He even alluded to that in his negotiations with Fox. But in the NFL, you would wish that there'd be some accountability, especially because they expect accountability from everybody else whenever they mess up.
Well, and if it's like a fraternity kind of the same way like the NFL is, like I'm sure those guys all, like and respect each other. And then when something like this happens, it just kind of, it tarnishes not just the guys who are doing it right now, but almost like everyone that's ever done it.
I agree. Because right now, just like we talk about people's legacies being ruined very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name? Kershaw?
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw.
One of the best pitchers of all time.
Yeah, probably the best pitcher of our generation, I would say.
See, I had no idea. You know how I know Kershaw? Back-to-back jacks.
In the playoffs, yeah.
Which is terrible. That is absolutely terrible of me. I should respect the fact that this guy has done a ton more good than bad, right? I should respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do now that you said that. I would like for this show to preface that this guy, probably the best pitcher of this generation.
Yeah.
Because all you need is one little thing to kind of tweak the way a lot of people think about you. I mean, it happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to a lot. It happens all the time. It's just natural human instinct. And right now, the thought is that all refs stink, whether refs like it or not. The only refs that anybody thinks are good are Wes McCauley and the NHL refs.
Damn right.
I love those guys. Basketball refs, people hate them. People hate them. I mean, now granted, there's been articles that are like, with all this NFL ref talk, I think we have to respect how good the NBA refs are. Somebody said that. I literally got sent that yesterday, which I'm not a big NBA guy. I watched the Pacers. I bought 5,000 tickets for a Pacers playoff game one time, which probably should have just donated them. We did a giveaway for those tickets. They're playing against the Heat. And it was like the upper bowl wasn't sold out yet for the playoffs or whatever. And I'd been going to a lot of games. And I was like, hey, if we do this, let's do this. So I buy these 5,000 tickets. They gave me a deal on it. They gave me like a good price, but it was still pretty pricey. And we had to figure out how to give them away now, right? So now that you have 5,000 tickets, now you have to figure out how to give them away within like 7 hours. So we held a free throw shooting contest at this place. And you just had to show up. Every homeless person in the city showed up. And I'll tell you what, there was this one little bum that had a pretty good little shot. And he won like 4 or 5 tickets, that guy. He made like 3 shots in a row, got like 4 tickets, gave it to him. There was just bums filling the top of that building. I think
bankers into a homeless shelter.
Yeah, it did. I felt so bad. I was like, it's kind of backfiring, I guess. That's what happens when you just give stuff away, though. But good for the homeless guy. You get to watch that. You know what I mean? He got to watch a great game between LeBron James and the Heatles in the Indiana Pacers. I believe the Heatles won in the end, but it was a great game. I'm not a big NBA guy, but I do know that Tim Donaghy, who's going to be a guest on our podcast, I think, next week, he kind of swayed people that weren't big NBA people to believe that the NBA refs are all cooking games. And I think they're going to have to fight that forever. I think the NBA is going to have to fight that forever, especially because how prevalent the refs are in the NBA, in the sport of basketball. Just like that, they can give, just like pass interference calls, those can happen every single trip down the floor in basketball. Every single one. And they can even keep it on the floor if they want. So there's just, the way the game is set up, NBA refs are not set up to succeed, I don't think. I think
No way.
I don't think they're set up to succeed. It's a terrible job. But nobody's out here going like, NBA refs, good refs, except for a couple writers. But the NFL refs, just bad. So now every single NFL ref has to answer those questions, whether they're retired, whether they're still reffing. They have to talk about, boom, their entire legacy has been shifted here in the last couple of years. And I would assume it's a lot because of social media, and there's more ability to share your opinion, even if your opinion shouldn't be shared. There's a lot of people sharing opinions on the internet that shouldn't be shared, but hey, that's what the internet's for. You're getting 0 likes, 0 retweets. Nobody looks at your things. Keep it going, though, bro. One day you're going to hit a home run.
Opinions are good. You know what else is good? Self-awareness.
The internet is not filled with self-awareness, but it is filled with a lot of opinions from people. And the NFL ref fraternity, the NFL ref opinion is quite a negative one at the moment. And I don't know if they'll be able to change it. And also, new CBA negotiations are happening. We mentioned it yesterday, how they said that they were going to get this done by December, at the latest March, so there won't be a lockout or anything like that. I think that's going to be massive news at some point. If they get that deal done early, somebody's going to talk about how that's either the greatest business deal of all time, that happens 4 months early when there's hundreds of millions of dollars to be talked about. That's incredible business if they're able to do that. And if they don't go to something big and it's not incredibly dramatic and there isn't a lockout and a PR spin of who's the bad guy, oh, these are millionaires fighting against billionaires, who cares? If that doesn't have to happen, especially after what happened last time, I think that's going to be a pretty good little turn of events there for both the Shield and the players if they can handle their business before it gets all dramatic. Roger Goodell came out and said that the 17-game season has been a topic of discussion. Now, I don't want to say I told you so, but anybody with a brain that knows that the NFL is looking to make it 18 games, and it's currently at 16 games, and the players are like, no, 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 and the NFL is like, yes, yes, yes. Everybody knows they're going to meet in the middle at some point. I've been on this train for like a year and a half now. But I think what they're missing is the extra bye week. So they said the games will start at the same time. We'll still have the same training camp season, blah, blah, blah. We'll just carry it an extra week, and then the Super Bowl will be moved back a week in February. I think you have to back it up 2 weeks, personally. I think you have to add a bye week. I think if you're going to extend it one more game, I think you have to give an extra bye week because there's a lot of players at the end of the season going into the playoffs. You see it. They're just kind of crawling to the finish line. Mm-hmm. You give some of these guys an extra bye week, let them heal up. I think it's a win-win for everybody. There's more checks, more money, more games, more NFL, and a little bit more rest for these dudes that can barely walk on Wednesdays and Thursdays and kind of just stumbling into the games on Sunday. I think that'll be awesome. I think that's where you need to meet. I think that's where it needs to go. And I think with 17 games, it was like, when I first started saying this, I had a lot of people on the internet saying, well, 17 games, home and away, it doesn't work. You have one game on a neutral field. I think that could be awesome. Take them to cities that don't have an NFL team. Take them to a place that has a college stadium. And now, granted, let's make sure the college stadium is up to par. Because, I mean, I was a part of a game in Canton, Ohio that got canceled because they painted the field. Then they put a black tarp on top of the paint, basically begging the sun to come melt all of it. Melt all of the paint, please, on this thing so nobody can run in it. And then we'll have a game. I was a part of a situation like that. So obviously make sure that the stadiums are nice. Get a nice neutral site.
Well, fixes their London issue, too. Then you don't have teams sacrificing home games to go to London.
Yeah, it's just, I think the 17-game season with an extra bye week and a neutral game for everybody is just the right move. I do. I think it is. And if you're going to keep the Thursday night game, a lot of guys like that extended weekend on Thursday night. So it's like basically 3 weekends they get off here. I think it's a win-win for everybody with more money. The NFL gets what they want with more games. And by the way, 2 extra weeks gives you basically an 18-game type season, which is exactly what they want. They want to be able to sell the commercials. They want to be able to sell TV. They want to be able to sell tickets. They want to do all that. I just think that's something they should think about it. Personally, if I was in the room, I would never be in the room, though. I refused to even sign up for the NFLPA in my last couple of years. I just didn't like the way they operated. But if they're getting a deal done early, maybe things have changed over there. Maybe hands are being shook and things are happening. Good for the NFL and good for the NFLPA. I would be a big fan of the 17-game season with an extra bye week. Imagine sitting in there, by the way, looking across at Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft. Like this happened last time. Jeff Saturday did that, I guess.
Yep.
Jeff Saturday with his piercing, beautiful baby blue eyes sits down there, probably jeans, sport coat, button down, opened up at the top. Sitting across from Jerry Jones and his slew of lawyers, probably 4 of them. Kraft with like 4 of his top lawyers. Jeff Saturday's just sitting there. What do we got to do, boys? We got players going broke because of this lockout. Even though they were told for 4 years to save up their money, this lockout's going to happen. We got guys with zero cash. This Cobra insurance stinks. How do we get this figured out? Yeah, you want to figure this out? All we're going to need about is an extra. You send about 100, 200 million our way, and this whole thing, we can knock this out right now, Mr. Saturday. Well, damn, Jerry Jones. Didn't know you were going to rob us. That's basically what happened last time. If they can figure out this deal, I'll be happy for them. It's good news for business, good news for the league. Jamal Charles missed the show. I think that would have been a good convo. When we saw that come across, we were like, you know what, good booking. Guy played for both Kansas City and the Broncos. And we're new to this booking world where people are booking guests for us. It's awesome. When it happens, it's awesome. Because, you know, we were a small business there for a while. We booked everything ourselves. So as to whether or not I wanted to DM somebody. Now we got bookers. And when they booked Jamal Charles, we're like, this is a good booking. I think they forgot to tell Jamal Charles.
It may be a phone line issue. Because I just tried to call in our hotline number and the call would not go out. So we'll see if we can get that figured out.
So this is our fault. You see, we can book the guest. We just can't speak to the guest. That's what you get here on the Pat McAfee Show. We'll be back on the other side. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I am Pat McAfee. Jamal Charles' phone just got through to our phone. Apparently, it was 100% our fault. He was supposed to join us earlier this hour. I think that's been pushed to the second hour. Is that accurate, Ty?
Yeah, it's 11:05 now.
Okay, Jamal Charles will be calling in. Ty is handling situations in a magical fashion. A little bit of a tech issue there with our phone. I believe Greg Olson's supposed to be calling here in a few minutes. We'll chat to him about his partnership with Smart Water Alkaline.
My favorite water.
Smart Water Alkaline. It is actually my favorite water.
Zeet should probably have a few more sips of that. No salt in that either, Zeet. Just smarts.
Zeet's microphone's off, which is great news. I think that's better for the show. Myles Garrett got punched in the face by a Cleveland fan, and I don't think I've ever been happier to read a tweet from a player than that one. He said the guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, is there any way I can get an autograph?" Myles Garrett gets out of his car, I believe. A fan hopped out of his car to take a picture with me and then punched me in my face. Put your legs into it. Might have actually made me flinch. Thumbs up. That thing has gotten 44,000 likes on Twitter. Everybody has seen it. This is a magical situation, a dream situation for an NFL player. He's doing the right thing. Myles Garrett, he's an interesting fellow. He likes to write. He does poetry. He's also an animal of a man on the field.
I think this is your fault.
Why?
I'm putting this squarely on you.
Why?
You riled up the dog pound, kept telling them week after week they didn't deserve this. This shouldn't be happening to them. Wow. You empowered them. You built this man up, got him all fired up. He goes out there, smacks Myles Garrett right in the mouth.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is my fault for motivating the dog pound, because the dog pound does not deserve what has been happening, especially getting their hopes up this particular season that their team was going to be good. But a guy who has showed up for them this entire season is Myles Garrett. I don't know why Myles Garrett is the guy that you would want to punch in the mouth, but there's a particular group of fornicate boys out there. Okay? There's a particular group of fornicate boys out there that exist, that at a bar, when they see a big human, instead of being intimidated by them, they want to go try to start a fight with them so that they can say that they did that. That dog pound member there that asked Myles Garrett for his autograph and then punch him in the mouth is doing that strictly so he can tell us, hey, I walked right up to that guy, punch him in the mouth. That is why he did it. And there's a particular group of society that does that we just do not need having around anymore. But for me, I'm happy Myles Garrett's okay. You would assume that a guy that is going to go do that has probably a piss-poor punch, if you had to guess. Somebody that has the mental capacity to ask for an autograph and then cheap shot somebody, probably not going to be that athletic, probably not going to be that intimidating. Happy Myles Garrett's okay. But, I mean, a lot of gut sack on that guy just to punch Myles Garrett in the mouth, especially whenever we've seen him shirtless. Guy's an animal. Let's pivot to another animal. A man who's probably going to play Captain America at some point in his life. Everything he does well. He's an incredible tight end. You put him on TV. He's a great talker. He's wildly handsome. Tight end for the Carolina Panthers. Ladies and gentlemen, here for Smart Water Alkaline, Greg Olson.
God, you're the best. Hey, you are the best hype guy of all time.
For you, it's so easy, though. Honestly, you're like the picture of perfection almost when it comes to life.
Oh, just keep going, man. We just extend this as long as we need.
Okay, you're here for Smart Water Alkaline. I am a massive Smart Water drinker. Why is Smart Water Alkaline so important to the Greg Olson lifestyle and the Greg Olson impressive stuff on the field?
Well, yeah, and as much as they're involved in that, they're a huge partner with us off the field in the community. On Monday, my wife and I are holding. As a lot of people know, we're very committed to our foundation work back in Carolina at the local children's hospital with everything our son has gone there. And we've added another event to our busy calendar of charity events, and we're running our first annual Hardest Yard Fit Fest at the new indoor practice facility there down in Carolina at Bank of America Stadium. And Smart Water Alkaline's a big partner of us. They're going to help us put the event on and keep all of our participants hydrated and keep everybody going. And they've just become a big part of our family and our foundation on and off the field. So we're thankful for them, and we're looking forward to a great event at the end of the bye week coming up on Monday.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to know that a company that creates incredible tasting water, which I don't know how they do it, that also has electrolytes and stuff in it, is also doing good stuff off the water grid and outside of business. That's good to hear that a company does well. All right, let's now, Greg Olson. I want to talk to you. You're one of the most electric football players on a football field when you're on there. A big Caucasian fella who's fast, can catch the ball one-handed, can make plays, played at the U, swag U. And right now it feels like the Carolina Panthers have this resurgence of life right now. If you want to talk about it, can you talk about Christian McCaffrey's kind of emergence into the MVP conversation and what's going on down there in the Panthers?
Yeah, he's been, beyond impressive. Anybody who's caught any of our games this year has seen, his impact that he's had is pretty remarkable. In an MVP world that's so dominated by quarterbacks and quarterback play and the numbers of the passing numbers that go on today's NFL, for a running back to kind of hijack that narrative and be as impactful as he's been through the first 6 weeks of the season is pretty incredible. And he's just a great guy. For a young kid, he's just incredibly, humble and hardworking and does everything you would ask of a young player. And he's just incredibly talented. And, you could go on and on about, what he means to our team and what an impact he's had since drafting him a couple years ago. So he's, we gotta hope that continues. And we got a big stretch of games coming up following the bye, and he's going to be a big part of that.
Okay, so obviously Kyle Allen has had success, Cam Newton's team, for a long time. What is it about Kyle Allen that has made him successful for you guys? It feels like he's just kind of playing in the system, letting you guys who are the athletes kind of make plays and just kind of keep the ship on the right course. Am I accurate with saying that, or is he really doing some incredible stuff that I am not giving enough credit to?
No, I think he's had his moment of doing both. I think he understands when it's time to just disperse the ball, run the system the way it's designed, get the ball out of his hand and into the hands of guys not only Christian, but DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and some other dynamic players that we have, and let them do some of the work. And then there's also times where we say, hey, you're going to have to make a big time throw here. You're going to have to fit one in and extend a drive, or do something that's going to be a little above and beyond what typically young quarterbacks are asked to do. And we're not out there winning games 10-3. We're not out winning games 10-6. He's going out there and he's leading an offense to, one of the top scoring offenses in the league. Obviously our defense has set us up for a lot of those scoring drives and given us great field position. So I think the complementary ball that we have going on has served him well, but I think it serves all quarterbacks well. It doesn't matter who you are. If you can get contribution from multiple guys on offense and get, a great effort like we have on defense, it makes playing that position a lot easier. That's for sure.
That's incredible to hear, by the way. I think there's going to be an interesting situation down the line here. None of it has anything to do with you, so there's no reason to chat with you about it. Here is something that does involve you. A guy who's played football for a long time in a position that involves a lot of physicality. You've had a couple injuries here as of late. As you get older in your career, things like that are going to happen. I don't think it's because you're old. It's just because the way the game of football is. Now there is chatter about the NFL season being extended to 17 games. I think that's actually not a bad business move if they were to add an extra bye week. What do you think about the potential of moving to 17 games in the next CBA, and how do you feel about the extension of an NFL season with how hard it is to make it to the finish line healthy?
Yeah, I actually agree with you completely. I think, extending the season, especially if it allowed, players to do. Listen, the reality of these CBA negotiations is the owners want to increase revenue as much as possible, and then the players want to get as big a piece of that revenue as they can. And I think if adding more games to the slate increases that number, and the players can benefit, whether it's through salary, whether it's through salary cap, or even if it's benefits, all those things are so important to all the guys. Then I think that's a win-win. I think the idea of adding more games, but also adding an extra bye week is not a bad thing. Extend the season by an extra couple weeks. I don't think it's the end of the world. I have no problems personally with it. I don't know if guys are going to just do it for the same amount of money that they're making currently and just add more work to the slate. So I do think there's some work to do as it pertains to that. But yeah, I would be open if they threw another bye week in there. Take us. We have a bye week now in week 7. If you threw another bye week in week 12 and 13, and then we went 18, 19 weeks, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think guys would be willing to consider that and take that seriously.
I think so too. I think that's the right answer in this whole thing. I assume that they'll get to that. That just sounds right. It's right for everybody. I will never ask you how the refs are doing in your eyes, because that would be setting you up for a terrible answer regardless of what you said, no matter what it was. But if you, as a man who's been around high-level football for a very long time in different organizations, not only in college but in the NFL, you've done incredible things. How would you fix the NFL refereeing world or the officiating world to make it a much more impressive operation than it is right now?
I think the biggest problem is I think everyone attacks the officials and says they're incompetent. I don't think that's the case at all. I think right now is we're trying to referee and officiate a game that's very complicated. It's very complex. It's happening very quickly. And we're just, every year, it seems like we're just adding more and more gray area to the rules, more and more, just subjective. It's so hard for these guys to make decisions in the spur of the moment because everything is so vague. Everything is a judgment call. There's 1,000 rules. There's 1,000 things to the process of how to call officials. Take the difference between pass interference and defensive holding. The referee needs to see the hold, then turn his eyes, see the quarterback. Does the quarterback have the ball in his hand? If so, is he looking at that offensive player who's being held? If he is, there's 1,000 steps to just say, did the guy get in the way of the pass interference or not? If he did, it's a flag. If he didn't, he didn't. We've made it so hard on these officials to officiate the game that I don't think sometimes they even know, and I don't think it's fair to them because now they're the ones on game day and on social media are just getting killed. I just think we've put them in really bad positions trying to be so perfect with rule book instead of just using common sense and taking some of the pressure off these guys.
So do you think there should be less because I think with reviewing and all this stuff, it sets an expectation of perfection because even if they on the field don't get it right, the review will get it right. Do you think we do less review because then the expectations will be lower set and just know that human error is going to happen for all of the reasons you just explained?
Yeah, everyone thinks right now that officiating is at an all-time worst. I just think right now with technology and cameras and every single square inch of the field, back in the day, if a guy was ruled down, he was ruled down. I mean, think back to high school. All right, they said the guy was down before the ball came out. We have no way of proving it, and everyone lives with the results. But nowadays, we can slow-mo. We can see every inch. We can see every yard. We can see the blade of grass under his hand, under the ball. It's just now we're comparing the results that we all see off of 15 replays. We're now expecting the same result when a guy's watching that in lock, full speed, and to make a real-time decision that correlates to what we're seeing in replay. It's just unrealistic. And I think the more technology we get involved, the more accurate the end result would be. And I think that's a good thing. But it also, to your point, is going to make the referees just look worse because there's going to be more and more instances of the calls not matching up.
Well, Mr. Olson, we got a hard out here in about 30 seconds. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. You have been nothing but a gentleman to me every single time I've gotten a chance to chat with you. You're an electric figure. You're incredible on the football field. You've had an incredible career thus far. I hope you continue to do so. Shout out to Smart Water Alkaline for having him join us. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Olson. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, buddy. Always enjoy coming on, man. You're awesome.
Oh, you're awesome. Have a good one. A lot of incredible conversation there for Greg Olson. We'll recap it all and chat with Jamal Charles in the second hour. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pat McAfee Show. 4, 3, 2, 1.
I don't think you realize what you've walked into.
Mark my words, that mother is going down.
that dude, bro.
I finish you off and end your career.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. I appreciate you for making an incredible banger for free. He's on tour right now. If you go, you're going to love it. Check him out. He's handsome. He sings country. He does all that stuff. Joining me in the San Francisco studio right next to
1077 The Bone, home of the Bone Zone.
I don't know how people at home feel about it, but that one's for me. There is a radio. This is a nice radio studio. I mean, it's set up pretty well. We didn't know how to work the phones in the first hour, so Jamal Charles will be calling us back here in like 3 minutes to chat about KC Denver tonight and all things NFL. Greg Olson joined us just a few minutes ago talking about everything in the NFL, including officiating, the Carolina Panthers, and the 17-game season that Roger Goodell has come public with that is very much a talking point of the new CBA negotiation. Tonight, Kansas City and Denver will take place in Mile High Stadium. And in the first hour of the show, I didn't want to hammer the Kansas City Chiefs because the Denver Broncos are built to do the same thing that the Colts did and the Texans did to the Kansas City Chiefs. On a short week, were the Chiefs able to figure out how to keep their offense on the field and keep their defense off the field? I'm just not sure you can figure that out in 3 days.
Especially not on one leg. If Mahomes' ankle isn't right.
I don't know what I want to do yet. Jamal Charles will persuade me one way or the other. He's a man who was inside that Chiefs organization. I do believe he got to play with Andy Reid coaching out there, I'd assume. Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So he'll be able to talk about Andy Reid's season and why Andy Reid now with Pat Mahomes has the ability to empty the gun every single weekend for trick plays that they've saved up for days probably. He draws up new ones on a dry erase board, throws them out there with Pat Mahomes because Pat Mahomes can do everything. But if Pat Mahomes isn't on the field, can the Chiefs win? They haven't been on the field. Pat Mahomes and the offense haven't been on the field the last couple weeks, and they haven't been able to win. Chiefs are -3. At Denver, Joe Flacco's been undefeated in the last 2 weeks since last time he joined the Pat McAfee Show podcast. I'm intrigued by all of this. I really am. I think that is such an intriguing line. I don't know what to do yet. Jamal Charles is going to change that, who's joining us here in literally seconds. Zito has said 0 dumb things today, I believe. No. He said
I said something dumb.
Yeah, but 1-0 for Zito's brain against intelligence already on the day here. It's a beautiful Thursday, October 17th. In San Francisco, California. Joining us now is a man who played in the NFL for over a decade. He's an All-Pro. He's an All-American in 2 different sports. He was a Special Olympics champion as a child because he had a learning disability, and that's where he said he learned that he could fly, basically. One of the fastest men to ever play in the NFL, an electric figure on a football field. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamal Charles.
Hey.
Jamal, thank you. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Our phones didn't work in the first hour, 100% our fault. Thanks for making this happen in hour 2. Jamal, tonight, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Broncos play against each other. You've played for both teams, much more notoriously, though, for the Kansas City Chiefs. With this offense and a banged-up Pat Mahomes, and they've been kind of beat the last couple of weeks with time of possession and keeping Pat Mahomes out the field, do you think they can turn something around here tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're going to Denver, where it's already tough to play because of the altitude. And but I think with Coach Reid, get the guys routed back up and get them back on the right track.
Okay, so Coach Reid, what makes him such an incredible coach? His offenses have always been awesome, but it feels like in years past there's been an Andy Reid season where they kind of fall off, everybody gets used to it. It seems like with Pat Mahomes, he has the ability to drop any play and be successful except for these last 2 weeks. What is it about Andy Reid and his offense, and what makes you think he'll be able to turn around here in just a short week from what has happened in the last 2 weeks?
Coach Reid is an awesome human being, period. You know what I'm saying? He connect with the players from being on the field and off the field. He's somebody special that you want to be around. He's got great energy as a coach. He's break things down to you much easier than other coaches who want you to just run plays. He breaks it down to all the details, and he go and just all your footwork with everybody. He treat everybody the same, and I think that's what Coach Reid, that will make him special. And then he's a player coach, man, and you have any problems, you can go talk to him about any of your problems, and he'll just sit there and talk to you and understand where you're coming from. So, I mean, he's been through a lot. Then when his son died and everything, so Coach Reid is basically a man that sees everything from both pictures. He definitely doesn't discriminate on how you look or how you wear. He lets you be yourself, be your personality on and off the field.
I don't think I've ever heard a single player that's ever played for Andy Reid that has come out and said they didn't like him. Now that I think about it, I honestly don't think that. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, you know what? Now, granted, people aren't just coming out firing down and shooting down their coaches, but you can see people dance around saying good things about their coaches. Andy Reid, all of his former players say, I love that guy. And except for T.O.
Yeah, I don't think Donovan McNabb liked him either, but, those are two pretty...
Yeah, but things can happen.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, well, I respect that a lot.
I feel like everybody connect with Coach Reid when he left. I saw Donovan McNabb. He come to he came to KC with Coach Reid, and he came to one of our offensive games. So that's why I said I don't think he hate him, because everybody always want to be around Coach Reid, man. He's a great person to be around. He's funny. He got a great sense of humor, and you know what I'm saying, he's a great person to be around. And I would say McNabb hate him because when I was playing with the Chief and he was out the league, he was in our locker room and coming to see our practice.
Okay, so that actually leads me to my next point. So sometimes in the competitive world, tensions can get high, and they can see people disagree, and then they assume that's out of the norm. I would argue that in the competitive world, juices with some of the most competitive people, sometimes there's a little bit of a misunderstanding. I don't know what happened with Jalen Ramsey in Jacksonville, but at one point, he and a coach almost fought each other on the sideline. Then he missed practice. By the way, shout out to Jalen Ramsey's back healing up overnight. Good for him. How do you feel about players? How do you feel about players kind of deciding for themselves that they're done at a place and going somewhere else, deciding they're not happy somewhere and forcing their way out of things? It seems to be a much new thing to the NFL than it has been in the past. I think you and I can both agree with that.
Yeah, I feel like you feel like you're not happy, you should be able to leave. I feel like when you hurt, the organization get emotional about that, and because you can't play, so they get rid of you. So why would you want to stay somewhere you're not happy at and go somewhere else? So if Jalen wasn't happy there, and he was trying to do everything in his possibility to make it work, but they wasn't making it work, he would have stayed there. He would have got paid at the beginning of the season. He had no choice. You know what I'm saying? So I think it builds up over time, and I must have had build up with Jalen, where it's like, man, since I'm getting paid, losing, and me and my coach not on the same page, maybe it's time for me to. It's not the place that's for me.
That's like a trifecta of unhappiness there. They're not paying me.
Yeah,
we're losing. And I don't like the guy. that is a trifecta of get me the hell out of here. You think this all stems from him showing up in the Brinks truck and Tom Coughlin and Jaguars refusing to pay him? That seems like where most unhappiness happens in the NFL.
I mean, he's been the most successful guy on that team. Why wouldn't you want to pay him? You pay other people. Why wouldn't you want to pay the kid? He's been the most successful on the team. He's in 2 All-Pros. Why not pay the guy? He deserves it. It's not like he don't. I could see he doing all that talking with no awards behind it, no All-Pros, no Pro Bowls. And he's like, why this guy talking? This guy hasn't done it in the league. As it seems like he got a great credential where he has done stuff in the league. Why not?
I agree. I think they probably should have just paid him. Now, granted, Tom Coughlin, very old school man running the ship down there. I mean, he is.
That's the point. You know what I'm saying? Old school people, like, it's the trend with everything is starting to just move from the old school. Like, you got to adjust to the future now. This the future. Back then, they used to run the ball. Now, we're throwing the ball to the running back. Like, you got to adapt with everything. Like, the future move on. It's going to pass you up, or you're going to live in the past that's going to pass you up.
That is such an interesting thing, because some people would argue that, well, football is a throwback sport, and the adjustment to the modern player in the modern world that we live in with social media and the way people, the studies and everything, there has been kind of an interesting take that the old school way is the right way, and if you're young, you're soft. Now, granted, we have a couple millennials in our office. They're very soft. I mean, they are.
I don't get it. The old school was the old way. Why are we upgrading our helmets every year? Why are we upgrading our equipment? If we not gonna move with the future of the equipment, why we can't move with the future of the players or their opinions? You see what I'm saying? Like, we not wearing no helmets with no face masks. That's the old school way.
Mason Rudolph did there for that one particular. That was a sad situation. Andy Reid has been able to adapt and change. He's one of those coaches like Belichick. I think even Belichick has changed the way that he talks to players and treats players, I would assume, because he's the greatest coach of all time. Let's assume that he knows how to motivate his players regardless of what generation they're coming from or regardless of how it takes to motivate them. Andy Reid's been able to do the same thing. Do you think that's a real weapon for them? Because not all these young coaches have done great, but I do believe they're trending kind of young. It's either kind of pick up with the way we're doing things or get the hell out type world right now.
Yeah, man, I think you can see it as well. Like they go and get younger coaches now. It's definitely changing. You're going to get a college coach that haven't won no national championship. Now he's coaching Arizona. You're going to get McMahon that the Rams. Like the culture is starting to change, and I mean I'm happy because you know what I'm saying. It's opened a lot of field for a lot of other young successful people to show their ability to do the same thing Coach Reid doing with the offensive brilliant mind and Belichick with the brilliant mind. You don't have too many special people like that.
McVay has really flipped the game completely on its head over there in LA. Let's talk about the running back position, Jamal Charles. The running back position is only devalued whenever it comes to business conversations, never whenever football actually matters in December and January. It's a running back's world. And I would argue the entire season, if you can run, you can win games. How do you feel about running backs and the value that the NFL has placed on them currently at the moment?
I do not like it. I feel like running back is the most dominant position on the field. I feel like we do the most in areas that they pay us the cheapest, and that they don't understand. We block. We got to block 250 linebackers. Sometimes we got to block the ends, and sometimes you got to catch. We going up against cornerbacks that now they got cornerbacks watching running backs because they so good. You got free safety and cornerback that making $2 million. You got a running back that's supposed to make $6 million a year. Like that don't make sense. We do all the work, and we've been the value as a running back. That's not right. We do the most. You got a wide receiver. You pay him $20 million. He go out there and make 2 catches for the whole day. It don't make sense to me. Like they got to do some adjustment about that. And I always feel like one year when I played with the Chiefs and I had the wide receivers didn't have no touchdowns. And I had all the touchdowns on the that season. No wide receiver had no touchdown, but you know what I'm saying? No, I'm not mad at nobody, but you got people that make way more money. And I just think that's just not right. They got to fix that.
Well, I think it's kind of happening. I think it's been working out for Lev Bell, Ezekiel Elliott. I'd assume Melvin Gordon's going to get paid. He showed he wasn't happy about it. I think the running back position is such an interesting one because it's so important to the game, especially in games that matter. If you have a good running back, usually they're going to win it for you. But every time the business conversation pops up, they're always like, we can put anybody back there. Until it's kind of the way.
That's not true, though. Everybody can't do what Alvin Kamara, Christian McAfee can. Everybody can't do that.
Agreed.
Them two guys, everybody can't do those. What they do in Tar Gurley, like nobody can do those. Like you gotta pay the guys that are special and that have talent in this league. Like I understand you can pay a second string running back. You know what I'm saying? You want to pay him, but he might not do the ability. He don't have the same ability the other guys have.
The interesting thing, and I'll say it so you don't have to. Christian McCaffrey might be one of the most impressive white athletes of all time, Jamal.
Oh, yeah. I like his game, man. Christian McCaffrey, he reminds me of his dad. I used to watch his dad. His dad used to be my favorite player, the Broncos, because them used to be my favorite team. Chief Nation, don't be mad at me, but, yeah, as a kid, John L. was my favorite. But I used to watch Christian and when I hit Stanford, man, he do have great abilities, man. He's moved like he's a black guy. I'm telling you the truth.
That is, by the way, that is 100% accurate statement, and somebody out there is going to be offended by that. But that's just, by the way, these are real conversations that happen in NFL locker rooms. By the way, white guy goes deep on a corner. By the way, that corner has the longest week of his life in practice.
Oh yeah, that's his ability, man. The guy is special, man. He make guys miss from 10 yards away, like.
I have to wrap this up. We have to get to a break. I got one final question for you, though. You're a national champion at Texas with Vince Young. Have you ever gone to Cheesecake Factory with Vince Young? And what does he order? Is it everything?
I've never been to Cheesecake for Vince, though. With this guy, this dude is too funny, though. That guy's great. He's a great brother. He's a great human being, man. I like being around Vince, man. He's always been like a big brother. He brought me into UT. So, I mean, I have nothing but respect for Vince Young, but the guy is hilarious. So.
Yeah, I mean, the stories I've heard about him are nothing but legendary. I mean, the fact that they released a number, and I don't know if it was lie or not, the amount of money he spent at Cheesecake Factory was almost the funniest thing I've ever read in my entire life. It's like he walked in there and ordered everything on their 45-page menu twice a day for 5 years. I love him. If you ever meet him, tell him I said hello. If you ever see him in the near future, tell him I said hello. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. I have no idea where you're calling from, but I'm thankful you did. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamal Charles.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, man. He must have been like an airport, mall, or something. Yeah. If that's his house, by the way, that thing is popping off on a regular basis. A lot of great stuff in there from Jamal Charles. Very thankful for him. He says Andy Reid just relates to his players well, which is... I mean, that's a big part of coaching. To be able to motivate people, you have to have their respect first. Some people command it by punishing people. They're like, hey, listen, if you don't do this, I'm going to punish you for this. So you kind of lead out of fear. Some people are big do as I say, not as I do people. They can talk well. And then some people befriend people so that their team, their employees, whatever it is, don't want to let them down. And in my eyes, that's always been the greatest form of leadership. And I think that's what Andy Reid does. And it sounds like that through Jamal Charles. And hopefully this week, that entire team has come together and say, hey, listen, we got to figure out a way to keep the offense on the field and the defense off the field. Because if not, elite Joe Flacco's getting a big win on Thursday Night Football in Denver. I haven't hammered the Chiefs yet. They're -3. I'm thinking about it, though. That conversation did not persuade me to hammer the Chiefs tonight. But it got me close. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. A man with an incredible mustache just walked by our studio and walked right into the studio of
1077 The Bone
here in San Francisco. Right before we went to break, we had Jamal Charles on for like a 20-minute conversation that was incredible about a lot of things. During the break, Zito looks at me and goes, here's the story from Bleacher Report. Jamal Charles and Larry Johnson almost got into a fist fight at one point. It just broke yesterday, and I didn't ask you about it. Is this true? What happened with you and Larry Johnson? This is awesome. I'm excited to hear about it.
Oh man, it really no fist fight because he was too big for me.
So what happened? He was hazing you?
Yeah, so it was a haze. You know, what I'm saying, everybody went through a rookie, but you know, what I'm saying, I forgot to bring food that day, and when you don't bring food, you know, to the locker room, you saw players get their stuff thrown in the shower or worse. Our car get filled up with popcorn, like.
Yep.
I didn't bring my food that day, so this guy weighed 250, 260. So I'm not about to fight this man. I'm weighing 200 pounds. So I was like, I'm trying to call everybody in my mind to tell them, like, hey, talk me out. I'm in my mind, I'm telling them to talk me out, but I'm telling them, like, I'm about to fight. I'm about to say, they were like, okay, don't fight. Then I'll hang up the phone with that person. I got the next person. I'm about to fight. So I'm like, okay, I got my official confirmed about to fight him. I didn't want to fight him anyway.
So what happened? How did he haze you? What did he do to your stuff? So you didn't bring food and
I didn't bring Denny's. I didn't bring Denny pancakes and it's eggs and bacon. I didn't bring it. I forgot. You know, Ricky, he forgets sometimes.
So what did he do to you? He threw your stuff in the shower?
Oh yeah, my stuff was in the shower, wet.
Oh.
Shoes, everything in the shower.
Oh man, was there something with your tires?
Nah, that was Mike Cox. Mike Cox got his tire slashed because he didn't bring no food. So I just told, hey man, let's alternate, man, to remind each other so we could just don't get nothing else done to us.
Oh, Jamal Charles, thank you so much for coming back on and clarifying that story. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. Good luck in your travels. Appreciate you, Jamal. What a human, man. What a human. Okay. You don't bring moons over Miami, bro. Tossing your stuff in. That is such an interesting thing because the Broncos, by the way, used to be known for the hazing the most, right? Because the haircuts that happened to Tim Tebow kind of took over the world. The NFL, before I got into it, I think was a much larger hazing world. I think they used to do things that were like tape people to the uprights and all that stuff.
They did it on Hard Knocks. They duct taped the guy to the upright.
That's awesome. I kind of wish that now, granted, it's probably happening to me if I'm a rookie and it's happening in the Colts. Peyton Manning, literally, the organization was very like, hey, we're going to need these rookies to win games at some point because the way the Colts were built was a lot of money was spent on few players, so you needed the young guys to step up and play a vital role for you. So they were big on like, hey, we're going to need these young guys. Let's not make them hate us just because we want to shave their head or something like that. There might have been a couple situations that popped up, right? I mean, the classic garbage can leaning against the door, late night, knock on it, open a door. There's a bunch of water in that garbage can, so it crashes all in your room and ruins all your stuff. That did happen. Carrying of bags, that did happen. Having to bring food, having to bring liquor on a flight, that did happen. All these things did happen, but there was never like the tape people to an upright or the shaving of the head or
slash someone's tires.
Slashing of tires.
You
Never
ever got
the
your
players
tires slashed.
Have I ever got my tires?
Yeah.
No, but as a flawed man, when I was 12 or 13 years old, my neighbor, first time in the neighborhood, got a basketball hoop. It was on the street. It was one of those ones that had like the water weight in the back. And we wrote with rocks, like foul line, like straight out of a movie. And it was my first introduction to basketball, really. This neighbor got this thing, and we had one ball. It was very nice. It was very nice to have that one ball. And we were shooting on the hoop, which, by the way, I think is literally the foundation for my jumper. It's the only place I ever got to shoot was on that thing. That ball got beat up. It was really our thing. And then these, 3, 4, 17, 8-year-old bums from up the street come down, and there was a lady in the back seat. Girl, she goes, can we shoot with you? We're like 12, 13 years old, nice kids. We're like, yeah, absolutely. Give them the ball. They shoot it one time. The other 18-year-old kid Debo's me like Foxy got Debo'd at the ALDS, takes the ball, goes into the car. They leave with our ball.
Savages.
Yeah, that's what they thought. They thought they won. We took a little mental note of the car. You got it. That evening, we found their car. All 4 of them. By the way, that thing is like an explosion when it goes off. I've never been that scared in my entire life. Sprinting back to the house. Oh, my God. Middle of the road. We weren't hiding for anything. So I have been a part of a slashing tire operation because my basketball got stolen. And by the looks of that car, those 4 are probably in jail or dead at this point. And they should be, to be honest. But I've never gotten my tires slashed. I think I do believe after that West Virginia game, somebody gave it a valiant effort, but I had Jeep Lightning. And that thing, those tires were just undefeated. You know what I mean?
Big, tough, strong tires.
Yeah, I had a Jeep Wrangler that couldn't go above 45 miles an hour, but that saw him. Am I allowed to say that?
Nope.
That thing was a very tough, rugged thing. But hazing was never something that I'd been around. Very like even in like high school football, high school soccer. I wasn't around as a freshman, high school football, high school soccer. I've never been around a place that does hazing. I don't think I would enjoy it. But there are some people that live and die with it. They're like, hey, listen, this is how you get involved. That's how you get indoctrinated. This is how you get respect. I've always thought like you can earn your respect like on the field or something like that, or how you handle yourself. But there are some places, fraternities. I mean, go back to the NFL. Hazing has a deep history in the NFL. I mean, people talk about it. And it's also because I think a lot of guys are so miserable and bored at training camp. They're like, yeah, we had to do it, so we got to make this guy's life living hell.
There's always a line, right? It seems like a couple people took advantage of that. And now it seems like everything is just monetary.
Well, abuse leads to restriction. That's kind of the way everything is. I think that's just in all walks of life. Abuse leads to restriction. I think hazing was that.
Is that true now that it's all just monetary? Like the rookie's going to take us out for dinner.
That's always happened. That has always happened. The rookie meal has always had. There's always legendary stories of them buying. What's that whiskey that's worth like $1,000 a shot?
Pappy Van Winkle, yeah.
Nope. Nope. Pappy Van Winkle is impossible to find, so you're not going to find that at like a restaurant. When you go to a restaurant, they order like these.
Talking about Louis?
Yeah, maybe Louis the 13th. King Louis. Is that what it is?
I don't know the number.
You just said it in a rap. You heard it in a rap song?
I've heard it.
Yeah, but there's like $1,000 a shot or something like that. $1,000, like it's a most expensive bottle of whiskey.
Macallan?
No, I don't know.
Scotch.
Yeah,
I don't know. But those bottles get ordered by the OGs and they just take them home.
Like they don't even. Vince was drinking at Cheesecake Factory, the Louis.
Yeah, I think he had to have been to spend the amount of money that he spent at Cheesecake Factory. But yeah, the rookie hazing I think is mostly just a cash thing now. I saw one group, they made their rookie first rounder. He had to get a plane for them to go to Vegas and then paid for them for a night of Vegas, probably like $75,000, $100,000. First round draft pick, though, so he's making a couple million. So they're like, yeah, you should have to do this for us. Yeah, I don't want to fly commercial either. Get a plane. It costs like $6,000 an hour. We want that. And where do you want to go? Vegas. That's like a 6-hour flight. Yeah, have to do it. If you want to be on this team and be liked by us, you got to do it. It's just such an insane mindset to have. And that's probably why I was a punter. You know, I don't have that mindset. And I probably would have been the one hazed if I had to guess. I had to take a rookie dinner. Took Matt Stover out and Justin Snow. Vinatieri wouldn't go. Vinatieri's like, I'm not having you pay for my dinner, Pat. I have a family, too. I'm going to rather spend time with them.
Classy guy.
I think him and Matt Stover didn't love each other, too. So it was kind of an interesting situation.
I don't want to sit with that guy for 2 hours.
They made me pay. I mean, I had to bring a bottle of Crown every single flight away game as a rookie.
That's not too bad.
You know, and everybody knows how much I prepare.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a prepared guy. Oh, yeah. I don't just focus strictly on whatever's next at all in my life. And that's not how I've been my entire life. My entire life, I haven't been the guy who literally only focuses on whatever is next and does zero preparation looking forward. I'm not a guy that schedules a stand-up show and doesn't think about the stand-up set until an hour before the show because everything else kind of took my ADD away from me. I'm not that guy at all. So there was plenty of Saturdays where I was driving at a very rapid rate to get to a liquor store and then get to the plane. I almost missed 3 flights. I almost missed 3 planes as a rookie trying to go. And then my brother, who was living with me at the time, he was like, why don't you just buy a bunch of them ahead of time? I was like, Jay. So Jason bought me a bunch of them and just lined them up in our apartment. If you would have walked in our apartment, there's like 16 bottles of Crown just lined up there.
That would also explain why you showed up in Pittsburgh every time on a bye week with just a Crown Royal bag full of a stack of cash.
Yeah, Crown Royal. I had every Crown Royal bag in Indy probably at one point. I mean, I literally never missed it, though. I felt like that was a real duty of mine. And that was back whenever I was drinking, too. So I understood the drinker's mindset. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I don't get this Crown. These guys probably going to be miserable. I mean, you got to do what I got to do. Let's keep these guys happy. They never finished the bottle. They just took it home. I was just supplying a different
stock in their bar at home.
Just a different OG was just taking the bottle home each week. It's like
they never got tired of the same alcohol every time.
No, it was literally their order. They're like, we want Crown.
Oh, wow.
I was like, you got it, dude. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I wasn't a big Crown guy.
You tired of it? That's what you drink. That's what you drink.
No, I switch it up every once in a while.
There was rookies that had to bring. Somebody had to bring Crown. Somebody had to bring wine. Somebody had to bring beer. It was like a different.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because we're stalking a party basically. So we are providing for a plane party that we were expecting to have because we were a very good team. Those plane rides home from an away game, an away victory, are some of the best times I've ever had in my entire life. And it's dudes at 35,000 feet with a terrible sound system because you have you have somebody's cell phone going into that over the plane. And it was just like it was like real happiness for a lot of people on that team. I don't think they experienced a lot of real happiness because of how focused they were on their jobs. There were a lot of older guys. So like their only moments of happiness, I think, were those flights home, like after a big win, like genuine happiness. Their entire life was dedicated to football. So all week, all they were thinking about was the game. And then that trip home, that like 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it was like a moment for them just to completely like relax and not worry about next week or the past week, their family, nothing. We're at 35,000 feet, nobody else around us except for us. That is a real moment that I don't think a lot of people know about or appreciate, is the flights home from away victories are incredible. Absolutely incredible. Those are good times, man. Really good times. You got people singing. My favorite story is of an offensive lineman. And I won't say his name, but he was asked to sing, right? So if a rookie's asked to sing, like you got to go sing. So he grabbed the microphone, and he didn't know that the owner's daughter just so happened to be on the team's plane, sitting up in the very front or in the very back. So they kind of have it off. So he kind of got comfortable in his current surrounding and didn't know about the entire surroundings. And he grabbed that thing, and he was not expected to sing the song. I fornicated 2 bad ladies at the same damn time. At the same damn time. At the same damn. And then he started feeling it because a lot of people were like, okay, yeah. Big white guy. Massive white guy. Nobody thought he was going to sing this song. So everybody starts like gassing him up. You know, he's like, I fornicated 2. He starts yelling into this thing. And then all of a sudden you see a little assistant from the front come waltzing back the aisle and grabbing the phone out of his hand. And he's like, what? Like yelling at him while the thing's still on. So now the entire plane hears him yelling at this assistant. And he like puts the phone down, and we're all like, oh no, like no fun. All right. They're like, Carly Ursay's on this plane. We're like, oh. Everybody just puts their headphones on, sits right back down. Just an hour and a half of silence. That kid thought he was getting cut immediately off the plane. And he did. And he did. Good for him. Good for us. 8:36 here, wrapping up hour 2 here of our second day in San Francisco, California. I wish we could take this song. This is like our theme song this song.
Mm-hmm.
We have to play hack music. We just have to. Knock off hack music.
Can musicians send us music and use their music?
That's interesting because they would probably have to. By the way, you look like Wilson from Home Improvement whenever they cut to you.
Oh.
Is that his name? The neighbor that has half the face? Zito's hidden behind like 4 computers to me right now. So everything he says is literally coming from the other side of a wall. I don't really hear him.
The much less intelligent version of Wilson.
Can musicians send us music, though, and be like, hey, you can use this. We don't mind if you use this.
Yeah, because you're in their rights, right?
I think if the label clears it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of overhead that comes with that. Those greedy corporate fat cats. You just never know what they're trying to do.
I am sick of this hack music.
It's tough.
Especially, I am a big time music guy. Mm-hmm. Like I listen to a lot of music, but it's just it is an ungodly price that we cannot pay to have their music. We would like to showcase good music.
Yeah.
We just can't do it. That's why songs like this have become like the theme song of our show. There's only like 4 or 5 good hack songs out.
You don't like Cash Money here? Rock blues riff over hip hop style beat with electric piano.
Oh, yeah.
I think I liked it like the first 75 times. But we don't have many options. That's all we got.
Do these guys go on tour?
No. These guys don't even know each other. They're recording this in separate rooms from across the country. They're like, hey, guitar guy, can you do this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
How about this one? Riffing around town.
Oh, this one is...
This one. I mean, these two back-to-back, you might as well just be playing My Nightmare in my ears.
This plays out in and out of every break in New York, every Monday.
And people don't even know this. Like, during the break, in our studio, we don't hear any commercials because DAZN doesn't have commercials. In Westwood One, we don't get that feed. So we just have to listen to this song on repeat every single commercial break, like 5 minutes at a time. And I think it was good at the beginning there.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah. I hate it now. 8:38, Pat McAfee Show.
my right side.
Now this is what I'm talking about.
By a bonfire, down by the river on the 4th of July. Don't matter where you go, don't matter where you're at. An ice cold bud never tastes bad.
Oh.
On Friday night, ice got a cooler and you go for a ride. You can park that truck down a gravel road, drop the tailgate and let the night roll. Yeah, give me that cold beer. Hell, I'll take two. One from each, and it's an American town.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I'll tell you what, I have no idea how many people are listening to our show on a daily basis. I'm not giving those numbers. But all I know is that band right there, Brosive, sent Zito a message immediately and said, you guys can play all of our stuff if you want to. So that was Red, White,
and Bud Light
by Brosive. Yes, spelled exactly how you think. Bro and Joseph combined. Shout out to them, independent, letting us play their music.
All right.
If you know of any other independent artists that are worth a single damn, we would love to hear some new music on the show because it's kind of driving me crazy every 15 minutes when we got to go to a break. A little bit of a nightmare.
It's a challenge to do this job correctly with this type of music. I'm handcuffed.
When I say this, I mean this. Music has been a big part of our show for a long, long time.
Since its inception.
Now we get to, we're in corporate America. I mean, we could say it. We're kind of
almost stooges and sellouts.
I mean, we really did. I mean, I didn't know that we weren't going to be able to play music.
How could you have?
I just assumed able to play music. There we go. There and go, about that. No music, strictly because it only costs like $3 million or so.
The day before we went live.
I had an entire segment ready to go. I was like, here we go. Heater banger of the week. Bang, bang, boom. Love it. Let me introduce some folks to things. Got Chase Rice recording the intro song. Awesome. We'll play some Chase Rice tune. Boom, 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 boom. Nope, can't do it.
Had playlists built. Had to make them clean. Some real digging in there.
Unbelievable. You should probably move your microphone, by the way, because every time it cuts to you on the camera, it's just your fit.
No, it's better that way. No one needs to see this mug.
We were in San Francisco. The box truck did not make its way out here because it was a 24-hour drive for the box truck. And with laws and regulations that we also did not know about, they're only allowed to drive 8 hours at a time. They have to log it. Then they have to sleep for 8 hours, which, by the way, makes sense. Very, very smart. But the box truck couldn't make it here. And by the way, this studio has been very nice to us.
It has.
Very good people. Speaking of very nice, I have been very nice, I think, in my picks in the NFL this season. Tonight, Kansas City travels into Mile High against the Denver Broncos. Joe Flacco has been nothing short of elite the last couple of weeks. He made an appearance on the podcast. They've been undefeated ever since. Ipso facto, Joe Flacco is elite. But tonight, on a short week in which something can favor an incredible offensive weapon like Patty Mahomes, after 2 weeks of losses, after 2 weeks of being demoralized, after 2 weeks of Chiefs can't win again talk, the Chiefs will dominate tonight, win by at least 3, grab the Thor hammer, bring it out of your pants, swing that thing as hard as you can, and let's take all the monies from our friends at FanDuel. Kansas City -3, hammer that thing on this Thursday Night Football.
That's impressive. You know, the more and more you talk about Joe Flacco and this elite talk, the more and more you make me want to hammer the Chiefs. You don't even need to build up the Chiefs.
Now, Joe Flacco makes an appearance on a podcast. They go undefeated. Joe Flacco has turned the Broncos around from laughingstock to contender, to primetime television football team that we want to see. They had Case Keenum. Case Keenum wins the Minneapolis Miracle. They say, get him out of town. So he goes to the Broncos. Doesn't work out. See you later. They bring in Swag Kelly. Doesn't work out. See you later. They draft Paxton Lynch. Doesn't work out. See you later. They're still paying Brock Osweiler. Doesn't work out. See you later. Joe Flacco gets run out of Baltimore. Why be less when you can be more? Joe Flacco gets run out of town literally by a quarterback that runs the ball. Now he's in Denver. He's getting comfortable. Denver is the home of one of his most magical moments where he threw a Hail Mary, hold my pass interference, gets him to the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco is nothing short of an elite quarterback. But not tonight. They're not going to win tonight. Chiefs are going to win tonight. Chiefs are going to win tonight.
What a build-up.
Yeah, Chiefs are going to win tonight.
Do you have any thoughts on these player props for Mahomes and Flacco today?
Yeah, I would love to. Props are some of my favorite things, especially with FanDuel. You have more ways to win.
All right, so for Mahomes passing yards, we have over 309.5 or under 309.5.
That is so many yards. And I should probably know more about the Denver secondary before talking about this. But in my eyes, if I'm going to stick with the fact that I think Mahomes is just going to dominate tonight, let's go ahead and assume he's going to throw for 350, 400 tonight. Let's just assume that's going to happen.
That's at minus 112 right now.
Actually, no, he's not going to. Let me tell you why. Andy Reid came out and said our time of possession is all out of whack. That means they're going to try to at least run the ball a little bit. They're going to try to dink and dunk just a little bit. They're going to try to stay on the field a lot longer as opposed to just taking these huge shots all the time. Let's assume LaShawn McCoy will have a bigger night, but I'm not. 300 yards is a lot of yards, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a lot of yards. 303, I think he goes under that, but it's going to be close. I think they're going to try to keep the offense on the field a little bit longer, which might mean they might go through LaShawn a little bit more than they have in the past.
And then for touchdowns, we have over under 1.5.
Over, hammer it.
That's minus 215. That's a pretty big favorite, but still, I mean,
Tyreek Hill's back, so they're going to try and force some big plays to him.
Yeah, but that could be runs, too. You know what I mean? That could be things
Sweeps.
that they're doing out of the backfield. They're going to want to keep the offense on the field a little bit more. The thing about those explosive offenses, and I've been a part of a couple teams that have had them both in college and in the NFL, whenever you score quick, that means your defense doesn't get much rest. And if the other team is strategizing to keep your defense on the field longer and they're not getting much rest and they're on the field for a long time, it is tough to get stops, especially when you're not like a dominant defense to begin with. I think Andy Reid is going in here with a real game plan to keep their offense on the field just a little bit longer to help out the defensive side of the ball, because Andy Reid is an incredible football mind. He has done some self-scout, some self-analysis, even on a short week where he came out and said, our time of possession's out of whack. He's going to want to change that if they want to continue to have any success.
And then Flacco, coming off the McAfee bump, his over-under for touchdown passes is also 1.5. The over is looking pretty juicy at plus 126.
Over. Joe Flacco, primetime television? That's what Joe Flacco does. Joe Flacco shows up in these moments. Joe Flacco is not known as a guy in these big moments to perform averagely. Joe Flacco, Thursday Night Football, 2-game winning streak. Let's assume he throws over a touchdown and a half.
Mm-hmm. And then
what's that? What's the odds on
that? So over is plus 126. Under 1.5 is minus 160.
Ooh. Okay, so a little bit against him there. Everything in old Joe Flacco is going to have a rough night.
And then for his passing yards, we have over 246.5 or under 246.5.
I don't know. I'm leaning off of that one.
Under. I'm going under.
Yeah, but you hate Joe Flacco. That's the thing about you.
They're going to run the ball.
No, true, because they're going to try to keep Kansas City. That's exactly what they're going to do. But they'll also probably utilize him in a little screen game, too, in a little short passes, which Joe Flacco, he has a massive arm. Everybody knows that. The guy could throw it from one. He could throw it over the mountains over there if he had to.
Well, so here's one that could be Phillip Lindsay to rush for 100-plus yards, plus a Bronco win, but that's plus 440.
The Broncos aren't going to win.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't. I don't think they're going to. I mean, I don't feel as strongly as I did last week. I think this is a very good line by those humans out there in the desert. I think the Chiefs are going to have a massive night, but I do believe that it's going to be a little bit more of a run game, a little bit more strategized from Andy Reid, draw up all the plays to keep the offense on the field so we don't kill the defense. And the Broncos, I mean, they are built to potentially do exactly what the Colts and the Texans did. So I don't mind that bet. What is it, plus 400?
Plus 440.
That's incredible value.
That's great value. I think I'd put money on that just because of how incredible the value is.
If you like LaShawn McCoy to have a little bit better of a night tonight, too, for LaShawn McCoy to rush for 75-plus yards and the Chiefs to win, that's plus 290.
Yep, I'm hammering that one for sure. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to go a little bit through LaShawn McCoy, a little bit more. I think there's going to be a real, which is interesting because if you start that out early and there isn't success, and you're Andy Reid, and there isn't success, will you be able to have the discipline to keep with the run, even if they, have a couple 3-and-outs early, even if everybody's like, come on, Pat Mahomes, we're here to see Pat Mahomes, and even Pat Mahomes is like, come on, because you got to play complimentary football. You just have to do it. It's the way it goes. Yes, big numbers are awesome. Yes, it's beautiful, but if all three phases aren't clicking and you're not playing complimentary football, you're not going to win a lot of games in the NFL. I just think they're going to try to go through the Sean McCoy. I don't know if they're going to have success early, and maybe they just continue to let it rip with Pat Mahomes and continue to let their defense just die on the field. But it feels like Andy Reid has a little self-awareness. Isn't going to let that happen. I like that bet there, right there, plus 290.
I mean, if you're looking for something to put money on tonight, you go to FanDuel. A lot of these player props that they have they have some very good odds.
Yeah, I think that one with the Sean McCoy, and also the Phillip Lindsay 100 yards with the Broncos win plus 460. I mean, that's at least a little.
Yeah,
that's just a little something you toss down there. Just be like, yeah, you know what? I like Chiefs minus 3, but I mean, if it's not going to happen, plus 460, I'm getting broken the fornicated off. 8:54 Thursday, October 17th. What have we learned today? NFL season is going to go to 17 regular season games. They need to add an extra bye week if they want to get that deal done. I think they will. Roger Goodell, DeMaurice Smith, you're welcome from all of us that are in the locker room. We learned that Jamal Charles was in an airport when he called, but he almost fought Larry Johnson, but all of his friends were like, don't do that. Don't do that. We learned that planes on the trip home from away games after a victory are the most electric places on earth. We learned that 1077 The Bone has a man with an incredible mustache that works in that studio.
Mm-hmm.
We learned there's salt in oceans. Huh. And by we, I mean one dumb individual who's a college graduate.
Come on.
We learned that San Francisco is a lot cleaner than we could have imagined.
Very clean.
And we learned that people still listen to the show, even though there's plenty of reasons not to. And we're very thankful for you. Have an incredible October 17th here. I hope this is the best Thursday in history. Tonight, UCLA, Stanford, Kansas City, Denver. We'll be back tomorrow. Corey Graves guest hosting and Ari Gold. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. Thank you, Don.
Good show.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you, dude. All right, cheers. Tomorrow I'm going straight from a plane straight to the studio.
Slap happy show tomorrow.
Tomorrow's going to be a very slap happy show.